It is time for game number 2 of Anuzarg versus Montasaurus, our best of 5 here. First game taken by Montasaurus with a fairly strong 3-base, 3-barracks push. It's time for King's Sejong Station. See what the players have next for us. In the top left part of the map, we have our green Terran player. It is Montasaurus. And in the bottom right part of the map, we have his opponent from the Day 9 Ladder Clan. It is Anuzarg. So, first things first, of course, we have a slight lead for our Terran player now, and I feel like in his position, this is a good time to strut his macro. Basically say how well he can do in a long game. He's already pushed himself to a little bit of a lead. He's basically gotten his opponent be a little bit more cautious, so this is a good time for that. He could also go for another cheesy play. If he has more confidence in that, that is the better play. It is best, typically in these matches, to do what you are most comfortable with. In a longer series like this, it's great if you can to throw in at least one cheesy game, just to keep your opponent on his toes. But it's by no means always a good idea to really do one thing. Many lag. Much apologies. This is Montasaurus. Very sorrow. I guess you followed that up with crying face instead of wow. Doge sadness. I haven't really noticed anything so far though, and I'm not sure Anuzarg has either. SCV is getting, Gudrona is getting up to the base basically the same time as last time. Hasn't really attacked or anything, but does pull over the SCV. Looks like he's going to walk through the mineral line. Trying to grab the attention of the SCVs, does not really do that though. And this time he gets to see a gas coming down at 14 supply. So if he picks up another gas real quickly, this is a potential Banshee timing. If he doesn't do that, then maybe a fast stim or a factory is what we're looking at for our Terran player. We'll have to wait and see. Back over at the Zerg's base, though, pretty much typical stuff. He's grabbing some drones. He's grabbed his hatchery. We should probably see him pick up a spawning pool pretty soon here. Whoop, a little lag there. A little bit there's the pool, and boom. Pool plus gas for the speed. And now we have an SCV coming over for the return scout. Checking first to see if there's a natural. Does pick up on that. Sees how long it's been down. Unfortunately, for him, he did not get his opponent to go spawning pool first, which may have been part of the whole point of doing that cheesy game in the first place, is just get him to be a little bit less greedy. But Anuzarg's not doing that. If anything, maybe it'll keep him from going for a fast third, but we'll have to see. Fast in Zerg timing, by the way, not in terms of other races. Definitely going to be faster than that, no doubt. Keeping those mules coming down. Anuzarg has, of course, not gotten his queens just yet. Spawning pool just about to finish. Okay. Pretty much just gotta bide our time and see what comes up next here. Factory. And no attempt to build the tech lab just yet, so maybe looking at a quick siege tank push? I mean, he's still pretty economy light. If he wants to get an expansion, he's gonna have to consider that fairly soon here. This is a tricky map for this, actually, just because of how much you need to wall off here, so he may be thinking of just trying to do some damage before he goes for his second. But we'll have to see. This SCV is probably not going to get home. Nope. Pretty hard to get away from the Lings when you've got down to that much health. Any twitching, and they will immediately be on the SCV's butt. Even without speed, they will take it out. So 4 Marines up here. This is adequate defense against any kind of Ling pressure that comes up right now. But we have a Baneling nest from Anuzarg. Looks like he's looking to get aggressive himself this time. He's picked up what he needs for this second base. He's still getting a few drones, but I bet we'll see a big flood of Lings in just a moment here. And this actually could be pretty effective here. We have a bunker building at the top of the base here. Really, all he needs to do is he needs only one of these supply depots to be exposed, and then at that point, simply brings the decent amount of Lings in the back of this, maybe 4 Banelings just to break the wall, runs through, hits the mineral line. Can basically ignore this completely. And now we have a Banshee. There it is. So Banshee plus Cloak coming out across the map here. This will be a potentially strong move. Does not want to be losing these Lings right now. Good on him to check up there. Would have been better if he waited until speed finished though, because that way he would have been able to poke in and out without losing the Ling. But in the meantime, Baneling nest is up, but it looks actually as if Anuzarg's just going to stay passive. So Despite positioning himself for a potential aggressive play, it looks like he does not necessarily want to go into that. Droning up is just fine. He knows that his opponent is still on one base, though, so he has to suspect that some kind of attack is coming his way. We'll see if he anticipates the Banshees in particular. A couple of Hellions actually able to push those links back right now if he really wanted to. Scouting still nothing around the base here. The question is, did he actually see that just now? Because I'm pretty sure that would have just flown barely into that Overlord's sight radius right there. It's a little bit tricky to say. Oh, there it is right there. He definitely saw it that time. The question is, will Anuzarg react? Yes, he is. 4 Spore Crawlers immediately going down, and he should be pretty well secured from the majority of the damage that this Banshee can actually do, even while cloaked. But the real question will be whether or not Montasaurus is actually going to be able to notice that this thing's going to get shot at. And he does. Good. Doesn't lose it right away. He can still deal damage with this. He can take out the Baneling Nest. He can start hitting these gas workers. But he can't. The amount of damage that he'd be able to do with this Banshee now is very, very limited. A few Hellions at the top here. Command center being built. Not quite against the side of the building, though, so the Banelings do have a potential moment here. I think he might be going a little overkill on the Banelings, though, because really the whole idea here is that he gets into the mineral line and does drone damage. He doesn't really want to have to fight all of this. Oh, Widow Mines. He really needs to burrow these, or this is not going to be so great against this. I wonder if Anuzarg's actually just waiting for him to land this thing and try to cancel it, because he doesn't seem to be making any attempt to go up into the main base. Oh, nope, here we go. He's bringing his units together. Everything's getting real separated, though. He's keeping the Lings back, and he's going for the strongest part of the wall. Does kill the... Wow, kills the bunker as well, and the Lings are going to run up into the base, try to go after the Hellions. They do some damage to one. He's trying to move back and forth to fight against them, and now he's just going to go for the mineral line. SCVs actually turn back and fight against the Lings, but unfortunately they were on a move command for a moment in there, so not really able to get much in the way of damage done to the worker line. Did put a dent in the army, though. And he did take out the wall, so he's going to make Montasaurus feel a little bit nervous about probably taking the space down here. Here comes a lot of Lings, though. Reinforcements swimming out across the map. Banshee's going to pick up on this and probably start shooting at them. You can do a little bit of preliminary damage at this line. Not too much. May take out a Ling or two. Oh no! Anuzarg is actually running backwards onto the Banshee. He's going to take even more damage. Alright. Ling's falling back. And we're pretty much restabilizing here for the moment. Drone production has restarted for Anuzarg, so it looks like he's just not particularly interested in doing more damage at the front for now. Still no attempt to take this base. Montasaurus is being very, very, very cautious here. Probably too much so, though, as we've already reached the 10-minute mark, and he still hasn't taken that base. This is exactly the place that Anuzarg, as a Zerg player, really wants to be in right now. Alright. Still hasn't been able to get anything done with this. The Banshee is very, very weak now. Would be good if he could go back home and get repaired. Second base finally established. Marine hasn't driven this Overlord out here, and he's not actually on the high ground. So this guy is actually potentially dead here as soon as Montasaurus notices it. But Anuzarg is now aware that the second base is up. There's also a decent amount of defenses here. Any Ling run-bys I don't think will be too effective with those 2 Widow Mines. And it looks like Anuzarg's just taking that as a signal for him to get a third. Just keeping himself ahead of the Terran in this respect. +1 armor coming out. Spire being built. Actually in a pretty vulnerable location. This is a place where the Banshee would be able to do a decent amount of damage. Banshee actually hanging out in one of the kind of vision obscured areas. Not quite perfectly. Still visible by Anuzarg, just barely. Meanwhile, we have Hellions moving out across the map to engage here. We're going to attack these queens at the front. This is actually not a great fight for them. He can transfuse the one queen and keep fighting there. He's actually going to back away. Montasaurus can try to take on this building here. He can do some damage to it, but actually doesn't do a lot. Anuzarg is sweeping out to the side to try and trap the Hellions in here, and he actually does do it. He's going to be able to take them pretty much all down here with likely very little to no Ling casualties. He's moving out now. The queens are slowly coming in from the side, and he takes care of all of the Hellions. So nice defense there from Anuzarg. Did lose quite a few Lings, but he kept the majority of his force alive and took out something like 8 or 9 Hellions. So should be able to secure his base from here. And the Banshee died. Ooh. A little bit of a dangerous flight path out of there, unfortunately. A little bit of a mistake from Montasaurus. He was aware of that thing being there. Didn't quite pick the right way out. So this is a pretty awkward situation for our Terran player right now. He's lost a pretty decent amount of stuff, as has his opponent, though he's invested a lot in early damage and just hasn't accomplished it. So the real question would be from here, basically, is how well can these two players macro? And unfortunately, right now, it looks like Montasaurus is just a lot better at that than Anuzarg is. He's got a lot of resources, total of 1,200 extra resources, 6,600 in the bank. And Montasaurus is now starting to climb dramatically as well, but he's spent a little bit better up till now, and he's all the way up to 88 supply, whereas the Zerg is still hanging out at 76. So we should see a burst of supply, though, in the short term, as long as the larva is there for it, as he has these resources built up and now the ability to get these mutalisks out. Still focusing a little bit of his energy on upgrades and drones. Only has the 3 mutalisks, can afford more, can build more. He has 13 larvae, but he's still biding his time just a little bit. We'll probably see that mutalisk explosion in just a moment here. While we're looking back and waiting for that... Whoop, wrong button. Ended up on Anuzarg's vision. While we're looking at that, though, let's take a look at what Montasaurus has in his base. Looks like he's going for a Wings of Liberty-style marine tank variation with a couple Widow Mines added in for flavor. And this is a fairly strong, I think, defensive position that he's establishing for himself. Going for the third at the same time. Anuzarg, again, just staying ahead. He sees his opponent expand. He just expands himself. Also grabbing a few Banelings. Looks like he wants to maybe run in there and do some damage to this force. Admittedly, is not going to be something that he'll have too much of a hard time dealing with, I think. There's really not too much in the way of anti-air defenses around this base. There's a single missile turret in each mineral line, I believe. So once the Mutalisk numbers start to get a little bit more dramatic here, he'll be able to actually just run into there and take it out right now. I don't think I recommend that on only 8 Mutalisk, which is what he has right now. Honestly speaking, I think it would be really good for Anuzarg to actually just go for add-ons. Take out the reactor on the starport. Take this thing out that's researching something. The drilling claws for the Widow Mines. And let's see what happens next. Anuzarg is taking his time. He's probably going to go for the mineral line first, and he can actually get some work done here. But there is that missile turret, which will slow things down. 3 more Mutalisks gathering up. Numbers are starting to increase. More missile turrets have not been spread out yet, as I don't believe Montasaurus is yet aware of the Spire being there. No, he is not. So, here we go. Alright, here we go. He's going to move in with the Mutalisk right now. He's going to go straight for this part of the mineral line. He does actually find the chunk of it that is not defended by the missile turret. Decides to immediately go for it. Immediately all the SCVs are pulled to repair onto that, and he manages to kill 2 Mutalisks in the process. Now he's going to go immediately for these add-ons, taking out the one on the reactor, taking out 1 reactor. Let's see how many more he's able to get. And now with that, the Marines are starting to come up here for the response. Lings and Banes are actually gathering up on the side here, so he needs to duck in a couple more times just to keep the army focused on this region. Vast majority of it actually didn't respond at all to that attack. And there's a lot of Widow Mines along this pathway. Oddly enough, they're kind of in the wrong spot, so the Banelings are probably going to not even, yeah, he's not even going to bother with it. So he's just going to pull back and get out. Unfortunately, at the same time, a drop has actually started in the main base of the Zerg. He's going to take out this Queen. Should be able to get a lot more damage besides done. There's basically nothing here to defend. Everything's getting pulled back to try and do something about it. No, the drones have pulled on top of the Widow Mine. It ends up getting a total of 3 kills. Not too terribly many, but still. We have Mutalisks actually just rallied on top of a Marine Ball for some reason. It's losing their numbers fairly quickly here. But the anti-air is now entirely gone. He's focusing on the medevacs, does take those out. And now, for the damage that he did get done, which was basically, what, killed a few workers there, maybe added, actually may have killed something like 8 to 10. Killed a Queen. And he's denied mining at the space for a little bit, or at least until those drones, wherever they went, get sent back. But he did lose a decent chunk of his army for that. Nonetheless, Montasaurus' macro has kept up on the back of that, and he is now 180 supply over the Zerg's 130. Anuzarg's trying to move in for a push here. Oh, there's a Widow Mine right there. I don't know if he remembers this or not. Yeah, he's thinking about it. He's going to go back up there. I don't really like... Oh, this actually could work out really great if the army actually walks up right now. Which is not. He's moved a Mutalisk over. He's trying to get him to... no, don't run into the Widow Mine! It hits the Mutalisks instead of the Banelings. No real splitting going on here. Takes out a decent chunk of the Mutaball, but that army is gigantic. Mutable. Decent chunk of the Terran's Bio Ball, but unfortunately there's just so much here. He's going to need a lot more than that. Again, you know, Anuzarg has the resources to really get to max and build that scary army, but his production abilities have just not kept up with it. It doesn't have enough Overlords, doesn't have enough, I guess enough larvae, really, to get this going. He's got 13. Maybe just having a hard time picking what to build, and unfortunately, these Banelings might get discovered right here. I think the Terran army is going to move down just as they finish. He should run forward with the Lings and try to delay that as long as he can. And he does. The Widow Mines are now out. Actually, it triggers one of them. Really should move up with this, Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Montasaurus, you there? Okay, good. Okay. Banelings run up here. Widow Mine gets taken out. Milos is trying to engage against an entire ball of Marines right now, and unfortunately this is looking real scary for Anuzarg. 20 more Lings in production doesn't really... despite having fast resources for a great army right there, he's just lost everything again. And I don't think... I think Anuzarg's basically just run out of options here. He's defending with the drones and just doesn't really have anything against this, so that's GG.